Good morning from here. Very warm greetings. Welcome back. We'd like to start with a short drill from Madhavan. Thank you.
Happy Bab Dada. कौन सी ड्रिल कराने चाहते हैं? एक सेकंड में शांति की शक्ति स्वरूप बन जाओ। एकाग्र बुद्धि एकाग्र मन सारे दिन में एक सेकंड बीच बीच में निकाल अभ्यास करो। साइलेंस का संकल्प किया और स्वरूप हुआ। इसके लिए समय की आवश्यकता नहीं। एक सेकंड का अभ्यास करो। साइलेंस।
Welcome back. That translation is working, and be good to hear your highlights on this subject, your own reflections, anything from yesterday. And one area was sometimes we might think there isn't ego, or we largely removed it, or that ego is somehow having a overinflated sense of self based upon something quite gross. But the subtlety of it was so good to revise yesterday, and that yoga is a mirror, that completely clean, completely independent, true I from the performance. Really enjoyed, and observing our reactions, because this is useful to see if there is provocation, the litmus test, and the inquiry, where is it coming from? And I like this aspect. Ego would only go with our permission. It's not that it would just fade away when we are in yoga. It actually, there is a kind of taking leave, consciously seeing the ridiculousness. So just nice to refine on these areas. So welcome back, and handing over to Prashant, and good morning.
Thank you, and hello. Good morning. Yeah, nice drill. The big secret of focus, concentration. And even now, let us come back to the experience of the supreme home of silence. In 1 second, and it is our home. If we need to close our eyes, we close the eyes. Concentration is important in this. And we are experiencing the light and the color of this home. As if the light and color is all around us. Living stars in this supreme sky. This is the home of the Father, home of the family. Thank you. If we remain engaged in this experience, simple observation will be there are no thoughts during that time based on the story. And if we do this for even half a minute, anytime, you will notice a shift in mood instantly. One doesn't need to do the 7 days course. One can experiment with this, and you can experience the shift. Those who study the effect of meditation, they will see the change in chemistry of the brain also. In one study, they show in 4 minutes practice, and epinephrine level drops in within 4 minutes and remains low for a long time. But you will notice the shift in mood. Let us come to some areas we touched yesterday, and we saw that we have a journey here that is nice gift for us, this physical reality. We are passing through this world. We are bodiless, and by itself, bodiless is a poetic word we are using to describe soul consciousness. One doesn't identify with the body with that meaning. You remain in the body. You don't have to leave the body, but you are not identifying with the body. It is a bit like someone who is sitting on a chair and is so confused, he thinks he is the chair. And then he has to be told, no, you're not a chair. You are Freddy sitting on a chair. So one way of saying practice being chairless, that is, see yourselves without a chair. What is it like? So here, person thinks he's the body, and he's told, see yourself independent of the body, whilst being in the body. But we also mentioned just being bodiless is not a big final stage. Bodiless, along with that, is egoless. This ego that we create is the main impurities within the soul. From its first moment of birth, it brings in the mentalities we spoke of yesterday, mentality of the victim, mentality of a beggar, mentality of an orphan. He feels he doesn't belong anywhere, and that world he belongs to is going to disappear. So he feels he's an orphan. So there is a mentality. His reactions and all are coming from that space. Mentality of a slave is so dependent on so many things around him, goes on creating masters around. And he's sick. He knows. And of course, the demon. Ravan is Ravan is justice. All these different false identities together are the 10 heads of Ravan. These are all the lowest denominations in any society. We're talking about victim, beggar, orphan, slave, demon, and a patient. He sees himself. It is like upfront. It is not hidden. His behavior and attitudes, they are of this. Lowest denominations in any society, any town, someone is a beggar, he's the lowest in the social hierarchy. Someone is an orphan, it is low. Slave, demon. And ego brings us into that state. He may be king. The moment he starts creating ego and the ego gets bigger, he just becomes a bigger slave and a bigger demon. This also gives us a big insight into how this world can be fixed. All that we need to do is find a way to remove the ego. And we also understand at a personal level, the highest thing we can do is remove ego. This is Baba's method of purification. This is what Baba calls impurity, alloy within the soul. When we saw yesterday the image of many, many eye, this is all the alloy, all the different identities. These are the seed of all the unpleasant sanskars we do not like. Anything you do not like in someone else, its origin is one of these false ego. Anything you do not like in yourselves, its origin is false ego. And so more we become free from this, it is purification. You will see our method is on two fronts. One is be yogi and be holy. Stop Ravan, don't feed the ego, don't feed the different hates of Ravan. Ravan, you have to put a restraint on the Ravan and create time to nourish the soul. This moment, check if we are seeing that invisible prince who is the invisible witness, and he is visiting this story world. Grand story, huge the stage. But one who is visiting that foreign world is the invisible prince. An invisible prince is completely carefree. He doesn't need anything from there. He is not a beggar, he is not a victim, he is not an orphan, he is not a slave. He is noble and is prince, and he is the angel. He is the observer and the trustee here. Sensible, extremely sensible. He is not deceived by this story world. So invisible witness is watching this world, this moment. Prashant is part of the story. We are not trying to make Prashant bodiless. We are not trying to make Prashant into soul. Prashant remains Prashant. Freddy remains Freddy. Harry remains Harry. But at the same time, the soul wakes up. And he sees with that complete freedom, and the soul who is awake, he knows where he belongs. And he has the intoxication of his world. And he belongs to the supreme parents, divine family. His world is full, everything he got. He got a home, family, father, treasures, eternally. Just the opposite. When we go into the ego, is empty and bankrupt and victim. Whereas the prince, he feels he is lucky, he is full, his world is of perfection and the best. He is loved by God and worthy to be loved by all. He knows everyone is lovely, everyone is divine. He sees the alokik, he doesn't see the story. Story is a separate thing. Story is a foreign word. More he stays in that alokik, his world, he on top becomes a benefactor. He makes it easy for others to take benefit, others to wake up. What is important here? Someone who is unconscious, and for him to become conscious, that's the main thing. Spiritual service is this. And he discovers the prince. It is not a small gift you are giving. Someone who is unconscious and in that zombie state, he thinks he's a beggar. You are reminding him, showing him the prince. Today's Murli that we read Baba saying Akhand, an uninterrupted donor. And as so invisible prince who is conscious, he can be the donor in a big way. Baba is not meaning donor like others in the story. That is donor at a different level. Ravan is taking, Ravan is giving. But here you are doing something more refined giving. You want to add anything? Say anything.
There's an experience shared in the chat about observing the type of ego and the judgment which can come. But when you see it, it's easier to see the absurdity. Someone's written the importance of making the hidden begging tendencies visible, so we're not carrying them through. I was thinking about the check and change that we hear. So we need to see what's going on, but also not feed it, to use it as a signal, I guess, to shift the posture. Do you have anything to say about that? It is almost sometimes when we observe these things, we can also identify with it. That's what identification is. We see these reactions, but we don't always see it as absurd. We are too close. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and I agree. Any particular area you wanted?
I
Check
can think
and
about
change.
check and change. Yes, it's very generalized, but it could be very useful. But we just sometimes there's not enough detachment, maybe, to really change. We take it with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no other questions at the moment.
No, the one area which we underlined yesterday, this helping the soul to become conscious and really challenging the ego. It is the act of the brave, and in a real sense, because you are challenging a demon. You want to remove the ego, but ego doesn't want to go. And ego will give a fight, because it is literally life and death for the ego. So not to underestimate this game. We cannot fight this game with little carelessness. We can pretend to be humble and all that. That game is going on in the Lockic world also, there are many politicians who can act very humble, but use the right language. But to really remove the ego, it needs some kind of we at least need to know ego. Yesterday we had chance to see different ego, but just one area. If we are mixing these two realities, foreign world and our world, then game is gone. And each time we are using the letter I for the soul, when we are saying I am a soul, we open the door to mixing. We said yesterday that the letter I has been used for the ego for half the cycle. All this life we have used I for Harry. Harry means I, and I is used in the story in different ways, deeply and with full conviction. There is no hesitation there. Everyone in the society around you, they are using it that way. And now you are using the same letter I for the soul. It gets mixed. From the first day it gets mixed. That's why the language we touched yesterday, use the objective language at least during the practice. Experiment with it. You might have noticed the language used is the invisible witness is watching this story, and in that story there is Prashant there, and invisible witness has his own world. He is the prince there, or that is objective. At least during the meditation time, we experiment with it, and then we bypass the ego. Ego doesn't go, but we are bypassing it at least. That allows you to experience. That's a big achievement. You get an experience of what this wonder of the soul is, and that reality of the world. And that becomes strength. And that becomes a power for you to take steps further. Reflect on this. Today, we are not coming to that subject, but revisit yesterday's subject, yesterday's recording maybe. Subject today is Viceless. One time we had a workshop in Cambridge, in Brahmin, and the exercise was to see what are the weaknesses we experience. Maybe 1%, whatever that may be happening inside, you do not like this, to make a list of these things. And everyone created a list, and in the list there were all the 5 vices. They were there. There was pretense, there was stubbornness, there was laziness, and there was denial, there was fear.
Having a bodiless moment here. The last word I heard on the board was stubbornness, and maybe you can share the last few words in the chat. And I think Prashant will be back with us shortly. To unmute. Laziness and denial. Yeah, it'd be nice to think of our own words, all these things. Pretense was added. You need to unmute, Prashant. You need.
If you continue, I just need to re-register here. No, so
You don't have to register, just go on to Skype. I remember hearing about this workshop, and I take a lot of benefit from writing lists somehow to define. And this point that everything we don't like in ourselves or others is coming from one source. And this feels very essence-full, isn't it? When truth is one, then everything which is false is also one. We don't have to get lost in the many different kinds of false. It is, we don't need to get lost in the analysis of it. Someone is asking, how do you explain changing the posture, in other words? So it's the mindset. It's a shift in smriti, the word in Hindi, isn't it? Smriti is the awareness of who I am. Prashant is back with all the devices.
yeah,
We have had a reset here, so
so we were talking of, the list of the things, and worth making this list. And as was said in the list, there was stubbornness, laziness, manipulative attitudes, pretending things, pretending to be nice, and there was greed and irritations and anger, and the next that list was there. Next day, you think of more things, and I add more things to that list, and others are also adding things to my list. So it was that list was getting bigger and bigger. There's no space on that page. And when we are using the word vices in Hindi, the word vikar, these are not just 5 vices. Vikar is like something that is faulty. Someone addictive behavior is a vikar. It is smallest thing, like stubbornness, it is a vikar. So 5 vices, we say it in a bit poetic kind of way, but all of this is a department of vices. If someone is manipulative, someone is stubborn, someone is into denial, someone is, comparing things, someone is envious and tendency towards complaint and criticism, sarcasm, these are all vices. And I was a bit surprised about all this, and I might like to say, no, it is less, it is small, it is rare. These are the words I would like to say that to this, but they were there. And it made me question, what is the seed of all this? All these weaknesses I can sort of see in myself. Under provocation, I can go into that. Under provocation, I can react with any of these things. This is what I saw in myself. And I was trying to see what is the seed. And what would you say is the seed of all our vices at a practical level? Say if you see here manipulative tendency or pretense or stubbornness, what is the seed of all this? Irritation, fear, anxiety, denial.
Not knowing the true reality, false identification, forgetting who you are, forgetting God. Darkness,
Sure.
confusion.
At that time, during as I was reflecting on this, I realized this. It said that map was in front, and it would be good to do this. Each one of us going through that process would be good. I realized the seed of all this was insecurity. I want to be secure. I want to survive. Bottom line is this: I want to survive. And right now, if I feel some situation makes me insecure, I will be stubborn. I will be manipulative. I'll break the law, even of my own morality. I may be telling others also, but I will break that law if I am made insecure. It like giving us an extreme example. Say a person is loving animals. He gives talks on love animals and animal rights. He is into charity. But if he is in front of a lion and lion is to eat him next second, and if he has got a gun, he will use the gun. Our instinct for survival is absolute. And my great ideas of love and mercy and that will all go out of the window. I saw that in myself. That bottom line behind, I want to be secure, and everything that I was seeing there, it had connection with feeling insecure. And that made me realize that maybe I am not putting into practice the first lesson that I hear from Baba, and that is be soul conscious. And that lesson meant that I am the immortal soul. And I may even understand it, I agree with it, but if I was to put it into practice, then I will be aware that I'm secure and I'm immortal. It also made me realize that the moment you create even the slightest bondage in this box, you are into different camp. You make yourselves insecure. Then it is later, then down the line, it is too late to stop it. But the moment you create a slightest bondage, I create even desire there, a preference there, expectation, then I am making myself vulnerable, because that world is unpredictable world, and it is not a good support. I need to be extra careful there. And once you are secure, then you win the game. To become viceless, the seed has to be addressed, and the seed is experiencing security. So, what does this mean at a practical level? Each time we are creating time for meditation, and we are having meditation commentaries, and important element within that is you are safe, you are immortal, you are beyond harm. The story cannot harm you. That is the important aspect. experience your complete independence from the story repeatedly. Maya wants you to mix your life with the story. Your job is to see your complete independence. And more you see that your freedom and your world, everything of yours is eternal. Our life is one of story of immortality. That is our story. And once you are in that game, in a secure game, security brings out your full greatness. It comes to other side completely. The moment you are secure, what happens? Only a secure person experiences happiness. Only a secure person experiences love. Only a secure person can be content and can be light. Security comes with inner fullness. And that's the word used is secure, but you feel internally full. More, there is some kind of insecurity that comes with inner emptiness. We drop this, remind, create this drops, of that the soul is secure, soul is eternally safe. And bring this in, and it changes the dynamics, changes the reactions. Most important, one who is secure, he doesn't need to play games. The one who is insecure, he has to play games. All these petty things that happen it can happen in the political world, it can happen in any family, anywhere. It can happen in any institution. Petty things. Their origin is insecurity. That's why they have to do something funny. More you are secure, you will be authentic in your interaction, authentic in your virtue. You don't need to pretend to be virtuous, because you are secure. One who is insecure, he has to pretend to be virtuous. And that pretense doesn't take us to heaven. Some people use this language, fake, and that way you will make it. No, our faking happens on a wrong foundation. Faking happens from the ego foundation. And you just become better at faking. You become better at pretending and become a good actor. And that qualification is not enough to go to heaven. To go to heaven, you need to be authentic in your virtue. So in essence, you find that you are free, catch hold of that secure feeling, security of your world, security of your home. Everything of yours is secure. And story, beforehand, it is going to change and end, and there is a destruction. But nothing there can make you insecure, even the slightest. You are never a victim. The soul who is conscious, he says, is passing through that story world. In a way, like this image. So one who is conscious She's passing through the story world. But story itself is not harmful. Story is harmless. Any story in the world is harmless. There are dragons there and there are villains there, but story is harmless. When I see that same story with my madness of Ravan, then he's frightened of the dragon and frightened of the villain, frightened of everything. What will happen next? Because it is confusion of Ravan. But now you are seeing the big map and you are saying it is a story. And whole story is great and it is harmless. You are seeing your world, you are seeing your family, and everyone is safe and the world is safe, you are safe. Never a victim, never a beggar, not for 1 second. You don't need anything from anyone. Never a beggar, never a orphan. Your life is a great family, great father. Never a patient, never a slave, not a demon. It is a life of angel and life of the prince. He has got everything and he also has got the best. That world happens to be like this. Our supreme reality, it is a world that is of perfection, fullness, the best, and it is eternal. That's why it is like a disbelief. When we are offering others your service, what you are offering to others, it is not small thing. You are not just giving them some food or giving them a position. You are giving them something that is the best eternally, and it's the eternal prize. And for that we need to be in that awake space. Every minute we stay awake, we improve the chances. We are refining our intellect also and become better. Old forces are there. The Ravan forces will be there. Ego forces try to pull you back in the old camp. Those forces are there. But we are challenging it in the environment of light, in the right way. Recently, Baba said, don't even beg from Baba. Don't even ask from Baba. Because you don't. You are the prince. You are lucky. You've always been lucky. That asking, begging, that is puts you into the lower consciousness. And that bhakti consciousness. And then it is bhakti results you get, not jnani results. So jnani attitude, you are always the best, and you are not awake, now you are awake. It's a game of a second. Let us hear some thoughts from you.
One question. Under the influence of Vinesh forces, or this forces of destruction of ego, the soul is too weak to identify the type of ego. What is the easiest way out if you cannot identify the ego, like specifically?
There's some examples that we gave to see those. Some of them are common, to see the identities and the the situations of discomfort, that is a good time to observe. When things are going easy, that time we can't, even I can't. When life is in the comfort zone, that time you don't observe. Only when there is a discomfort, that is the good chance to observe. But regardless of that side, our life of be yogi, that goes on. We work on that front. See the life of the invisible witness. We'll create time now also to come back in that practice. Shall we create time now?
Yes.
Or are there any questions or comments?
No, I just was enjoying that in a way we're always playing a game, but whether we're playing it like the angel game or whether we're playing the Raven's game, we are players. And, we're on this field of action. And how distracting the effort is of the fake it to make it. It is a confusing distraction in a way, the dana and the superficial surface level. So just to keep it very simple, keeping the soul above the line, and everything else is coming from that. There is something just dropped in when the soul crosses the line and performs an action in lower consciousness. Then after realizing the mistake, a guilt feeling comes. How to overcome this?
Sure. And the most important thing for us is learn the lesson. What is the lesson from that? And then you are wiser if you are able to put a full stop and get on with the experiencing the flying stage. Not to use that method to justify and carry on repeating the mistake, because then the account of penalties increase. Every time we cross the line, there are penalties. So know that deliberately I'm repeating some action, saying that I can put a full stop. Then we are playing the game for Maya. But learn the lesson, put a full stop, and then create some structures, learning the lessons. Let us come in the experience now, great opportunity to experience this wonderland. Since it is a wonderland, let us show it as a wonderland. So there is this option, we all have the option to use the best sight, the best intellect, best light. This is all. The moment we use this best light, the game changes. Now in this best light, we can clearly see the story world. We see the story as story. In the darkness, it appeared our whole life and world is in that little gross world. Now we are seeing it as a story, and it is not our story or my story. It's a story. And beyond the story is the real world. Game is this. We said we don't want to create a slightest bondage in that story. This environment of light, the true self becomes conscious. We use the word invisible witness. And for the invisible witness to be like a presence, bodiless presence is normal. To be seen as a point is normal. To be completely independent from the story is normal. Independent. Story is separate and his world is separate. To belong to that supreme home, sky, that appears normal. To belong to that divine family of souls, that appears normal. To belong to God, be part of the family of God appears normal. This invisible witness, it's a new start, clean start. It is not extension of anything from the story. The story has got a script and it is a story that is separate. Invisible witness, he is separate. He has the confidence and worthiness to be loved by God, to have the company of God. He knows it is the eternal bond which cannot be changed by anyone. He is aware of it. This is true for everyone, but the invisible witness is conscious, and one sign of being conscious, he understands his worthiness. If it is ego-based effort, ego will not experience the worthiness. If it is mixed with ego, ego doesn't feel the worthiness. Invisible witness, he knows he belongs to God, loved by God, has a right to have company of God, is remembered by God. Abba said today, he doesn't forget even for 1 second. Invisible witness knows that he is very, very lucky because his world is world of perfection. It's a Ravan-free region. The moment it is Ravan-free, it is world of perfection. All his family, they all are Ravan-free. Their starting position is this. They are those immortal living stars. They do not need anything from anywhere. They are also free from this begging, and they are never victims and they are never slaves. So they are ignorant of the word desire, ignorant of sorrow, ignorant of vices. So bodiless, viceless, egoless, that is natural for everyone. All are like this. It is a Ravan-free region. That's why we can use the word divine. When there is no demon, this region is divine and everyone is divine, worthy of greatest respect and love. In such a world where there is absolute security and everyone is beyond harm, there is 100% innocence, childlike innocence. They don't need to be streetwise in this region. That's why they all appear immensely lovely, childlike, and they are also godlike. They are lovely, loving, and lucky. All and always. All we have done is use the best intellect and best sight. That is all. And then the game is different. We are seeing this reality that is our world. It is not just a meditation experience for the invisible witness. This is his world. This is the main world. Story is not his main world. Story is a foreign world. And it comes, goes, changes, but he is aware of his real world. And he is right in this world. His world is alaukic, unearthly, and divine. And as was said, just experiencing this world, it is like a timeless celebration. Celebration with the family and father and your truth and the authentic reality, authentic virtues. This is the life. And just as we are experiencing this, we are contributing to the benevolence on a big scale because light is created. Our attention here creates light. Every second, angelic prince is conscious. You perform angelic karma. And there is light created. And this makes it easy for others to wake up. And this cannot be stopped. No one can stop this. And like no one can prevent, no one can stop, no one can change. In the environment of darkness, you bring light, light wins. So okay, results are guaranteed. So all you are doing is experiencing the celebration, and you end up creating the highest karma. So the message of donor, Baba used this word, be the big donor, uninterrupted donor, every level donor. Don't think of yourself. Now that message applies to the invisible prince. Unless we come in that space, then what are we giving? In that other space, there we are pretending. We ourselves are, mixed with victim and other mentalities. So let the invisible prince wake up. And just he remains the prince, and he knows he needs nothing. He already got the best. And story, things, we'll see what happens next. Something is going to break and something is going to go up and down. That is the nature of the story. That is secondary. Your world is what all that matters, and that is the best. Universe is positive. Invisible prince, he knows that the universe, his universe is different to the universe of astronomers. Astronomers, their universe is within the story. That is their universe. Whereas your universe is unlimited, beyond the story. And in the context, you see story also. Story also is great story. So you know that the universe is positive and truth is beautiful. All that's happening is the invisible witness sees it the right way up. That's all. Ravan watches it upside down. You are seeing it right way up. Shall we hear some thoughts from you and any comments?
Yeah, thank you. This feels like a bathing the soul. It's almost just about familiarizing with this and repeating some questions about this. When we are in the lower consciousness, if you are in that discomfort zone, but if you're not able to observe the identity, then there can be some kind of denial about it. Then it doesn't matter how much you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, it won't remove the ego. So it feels like you mentioned earlier that we are working on two fronts. One is the yoga, so be holy, and then, be yogi. And then holy is stopping Ravan. But any thoughts on this?
Yes, we have to start somewhere. Each one, we've all got different strengths and different limitations, but we start. And the moment you start, it will you will be in the upward spiral. What appears to be difficult yesterday is not difficult today anymore. In fact, nothing is impossible. This is our starting position. This is our world, our right. And we are not begging. Even Baba says, don't even beg from him. Just claim you are right. It is like that. Having the mindset of, that it is easy. Not superficially, we are not doing it, but not to create obstacles, our own obstacles.
It's a very interesting point to consider our speciality. Even in commentaries, some of us like the visual, some are different and have other specialities, and really, I guess, be sensitive to what it is that that holds you in that space. Sometimes it can be associating it with a little movement also that can activate some newness. Yeah, I think that's worth exploring. And if you enjoy visual, you can really go for it, like this image of light all around. Really go into that. And with that strength, we can deal with other things. This question, what is coming? One of my current struggles is coexisting with others in a loving, kind way when their version of worldly reality differs from mine. For example, misrepresenting facts. If I accept what they're saying, I feel I'm accepting untruth. But if I correct or challenge them, then I feel I'm getting pulled into an ego state. What is the right balance?
First, know that you are dealing with a story, another episode in a story. And bottom line is, it doesn't matter, what happens one way or the other. It is a story. You are not trying to win truth, in that is not our aim, to convince others about some truth. Watch the story, great, but you will be the wisest if you live in truth. That is, then you are the wisest. Even minutes, seconds that you are able to experience the wonderful personal truth, invisible Prince, his greatness and his world, that then you are in truth. Winning an argument with others, that is not our idea of truth. That is a story. But one slogan that we like very much: 1 minute more with dog, then you get 1 minute less with God. So what does it mean? So for some reason, I am thinking about this world. Dog, dog came. Why dog is coming there? Then I got 1 minute less with God. Then dog comes again. I got 2 minutes for dog. Then 2 minutes less with God. Dog comes, cat comes, someone else speaks false. Now I got 5 minutes in the world of dog, 5 minutes less with God. Know that calculation. Our time is precious.
That's a nice analogy. You can apply it in different ways. The incarnate, I was thinking the news, for example, incarnate might get an overview but wouldn't hang around and get engrossed in CNN. So it's like just refining the positioning, which helps us to keep that angelic lightness and angelic intervention. So maybe we can acknowledge the questions which have just come and maybe come back after a short break. And do you have a sort of question to start off the discussions?
Yes, and the Viceless, today's subject is Viceless, and how you see that subject being viceless within oneself. And the gross vices, that is one thing, but we were talking about the progeny and the subtlety about it. What it means to be viceless.
Thank you. So we just put that in the chat. Nice way to begin the discussion, and let us know if you need any assistance in the room. There's a help button, and see you back in just 10 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back. Let's create a minute for the experience of that viceless soul, invisible traveler. What I liked about the discussion was this idea that it is easy and find out how. The premise is certainly, but of course the subtlety, but finding out, let the mind be busy with why, how it is easy. Someone typed about the story of the little prince, who observes the world as a child without judgment and detachment as he's from another world. Very nice. But do share your any highlights from the discussion. We'd love to hear. Welcome back and welcoming Pujan. Thank you.
Hi, I was going to read a short passage of spiritual writings, and that gives us a feel of the viceless, bodiless life. Concentration practiced with discernment is certainly higher than mechanical repetition of a prayer. Absorption is higher than concentration. We'll give you the printed version of this later. It will be in the file. You don't have to write, but try and experience. A man should not hate any living creature, friendly and compassionate to all. All of this is possible for the invisible witness. He is aware everyone is divine. All life, all souls, human, animal, they all. Drama is separate. We are seeing behind the drama. He must free himself from the delusion of I and my. Accept pleasure and pain with equal tranquility. Because in the story, something comes, something goes. Forgiving, ever contented, self-controlled, united constantly with me in his meditation. His resolve is unshakable, dedicated to me in intellect and in mind. He is dear to me. He neither molests his fellow man nor allows himself to become disturbed by the world. He is no longer swayed by joy, envy, anxiety, fear. He is dear to me. He is pure and independent of the body's desire. What does that mean? Independent of body's desire. You can type.
Feeling internally full, separate from things which are temporary.
Good, very good. I think a good example is, say in your house there is a plant, and plant needs some manure, some dung, and some water. You are happy to get it to the plant, what the plant needs. But it is not your need. You are happy to find it, but it is not your need. The soul, he knows he needs nothing. He doesn't need the story. He doesn't need anything from the story world. So there is a body. He's quite happy to find things for the body, but he's independent of the body's need. So he's pure and independent of the body's desire. He's able to deal with the unexpected, prepared for everything, unperturbed by anything, neither vain nor anxious about the results of his actions. He is dear to me. He does not desire or rejoice in what is pleasant. He does not dread what is unpleasant. He remains unmoved by good or evil fortune. He is dear to me. His attitude is the same towards friend and foe. He is indifferent to honor and insult. Is that possible? Attitude is the same towards friend and foe? Ordinarily not. Really same is not possible. But for the invisible witness who sees this as a stunt, someone is acting as an enemy, someone is acting as a friend, and behind everyone is immensely dear. If he's seeing the things right way up, then it is different. His attitude is the same towards friend and foe. But if he's in the ego camp, living in the story, his reactions are ego-based reactions. So his attitude is the same towards friend and foe. He's indifferent to honor and insult, heat, cold, pleasure and pain. He's free from attachments. He values praise and blame equally. He can control his speech. He's content with what he gets. His home is nowhere. He is at home everywhere. His mind is fixed upon me, and his heart is full of devotion for me. He is dear to me. This true wisdom I have taught will lead you to immortality. The faithful practice it with devotion, taking me for their highest aim. To me, they surrender heart and mind. They are exceedingly dear to me. Surrender, that final message is to surrender Ravan, to surrender ego to Ram. To make Ravan surrender to Ram, that is the task of the brave. The highest anyone can do is make Ravan surrender to Ram, which means you are making ego surrender. Ultimately, it is in our hand. It is not, out of our hand. Everything is our. We have created ego. We can dissolve it. We just need to know I have a choice, and to reflect on this. Excellent. So let us hear some thoughts from you, and if there are any questions.
Thank you. I like this word brave, and also someone wrote brave enough to stay detached. And I was thinking it is an adventure, isn't it? It's like the most adventurous thing to play this different game. Question that came in the rooms: why do we feel insecure in certain places and in other places we feel secure? So why sometimes in some places insecure and other times secure?
Most of the time, it is our ego that is judging in this. If there is some environment of praise and everyone is holy, then ego feels secure. In another situation, ego may feel insecure. And so our aim is to step beyond the ego. And the invisible prince is amused by the story. Story doesn't make him insecure. So even for 1 minute, 5 minutes, to grasp that perspective of the invisible prince who is immortal and his world is safe and he's dealing with the story. That's true, very good to really drum in that feeling of being immortal and safe and beyond harm. That has to go in. that becomes the foundation of the noble personality.
Thank you. Earlier you mentioned that the beggar, the victim, slave, and you added patient. So one question, can someone who is physically unwell, a sick patient, get better by being above the line?
In different reasons, some patients, their roots of illness are deeper. Some patients, their roots are not so deep. If they make even the slightest effort, they get cured. Some people, because the spiritual effort, they even in the company of the yogi, they will feel better. They may get cured completely. Just the right vibrations, right diet, that's right, and that's enough for them to be. So it's certainly to give a try. But for many, the roots are deeper, and so they have to that others cannot do. They have to do it themselves, and that is guaranteed. Our method is to cure, not in a superficial way, but remove the roots.
The soul has been able to awaken, then you might not see the reflection in the present physical body, but it will get reflected in the future. Is that right?
Yeah.
21 verse specifically mentioned in the philosophy. Someone has written, I feel I am fully awakened. What's the next step? Do I continue working on myself?
Stay awake.
Stay there. Yes.
Because ego is all the time shadowing, for all of us. It is not a permanent step. You stay awake, then ego will come in a new way, new door. Maya is listening also. But yes, staying awake, that is a big achievement. Everything else will follow.
The question continues, do I keep identifying more false identities and remove them, or stop and start awakening others? So it appears it's more a parallel effort.
Yeah. It all happens parallel.
I think that our own progress silently is affecting and empowering others. Someone put it nicely, it's experiencing that clean soul and sharing that cleanliness with others. And that can be just the vision and attitude also. Yeah. Someone is asking, better to die than to ask. That's in the philosophy recently, and not ask, also not ask for blessings. Do you want to add anything, say anything extra? Is it because as a prince, the soul is prince, there's no need to ask?
Yeah, sure. There is the one inbuilt syndrome in the beggar. Beggar is not just begging. Beggar is he wants to compare with others. He will get angry also if he doesn't get. He will be. There is a whole personality of the beggar. But one personality of the beggar is that he doesn't want to see what he has got. That is a personality. He wants to hide what he has got. For example, you can experiment in your town. There may be some beggar somewhere on the street. You give them, and on their basket, give 200 pounds, put in the basket. And you can experiment with few beggars if you like. A little expensive research. And see what they are doing. in the next minute what they are doing with that 200 pounds. I have seen this happening. And the next thing he does, that beggar does, he hides them, takes them out of the basket. And in one case where I was seeing this scenario, she had the same attitude, as if she's absolutely starving. That attitude next minute in front of me, to the next passerbys, as if she is absolutely in misery. They have learned that they have to convince others they are empty and they are a complete disaster and they are hungry. And more they convince this to others, their success. That's what they have learned. And they have learned that they should hide whatever they got. They have to hide it from others. Don't look at it. Don't see it. Now your philosophy is completely different. What is your philosophy? You are saying you're a prince. You got everything. You are lucky. See what you got. You are from the family of God. God remembers you every second. There's not 1 second where God doesn't remember you. And you got a divine family. You got home. You're secure. You are lovely, loving, lucky. You don't need anything from anywhere. This is the knowledge. Now, beggar personality doesn't want to see this. He doesn't want to see. He want to hide everything. Because more he sees it, he knows that it will be failure. Beggar will be a failure. Beggar will not get any coins. And so this beggar personality blocks the prince. The reason Baba is telling us, don't beg even from Baba. Because this beggar within us need to die. Better to die. A soul never dies. Body will not die. But a beggar has to die. And that will allow the prince to become conscious. It doesn't come with a label prince, but you will discover the richness that exists.
Wonderful reminder. Thank you for the question. Feel free to share any follow-up thoughts. I really like that vision and attitude. There's no mixture of pity. Follow-up questions. So the prince will share everything. Is that right?
I'll say it again.
Someone saying others can get jealous. Is it right that the prince will share everything?
Here we are talking about the eternal prince. He knows that everyone is a prince. Once the prince is conscious, he is an angelic prince, like the father. He knows the greatness of everyone. It is not a question of sharing or, it is not begging. We are not dealing with beggars. You are dealing with princes. You are helping the princess wake up. You are not feeding the beggar in others, because if you are feeding beggar in others, beggar side in them, that will block that prince. You are dealing with the prince in them. You are seeing the prince. You want to encourage the prince to wake up.
Someone is
That is
asking.
the difference between the charity that happens in the world outside, including governments and the religions, and what Baba is doing. Baba is sure here is a prince. And that's why he says, stop the beggar completely. Let the beggar die. Whereas everyone else is working with the beggar, trying to make the beggar a successful beggar.
when blessings are used in this philosophy, is it more knowledge of the prince? Because someone is asking, we shouldn't even ask for blessings. Is that really?
Absolutely, because you already got everything. You are that. It's a game of no time. You understand, then fly. That is the signal. Just need a signal. You're from there. Even here, we have discussed now. Not to say that I need more. Start using the wings now. It is a bit like that, and experiment and experience.
I really enjoy for myself to notice the subtle begging that comes in new forms, like begging for service, begging for time at the center, or there's they come along and in disguise. So someone commented, being awake is your blessing to yourself, perhaps. One more question here. When noticing beggars, I guess, meaning at the drama level, what to do?
Sorry, mind to repeat?
When one is in the town, you mentioned the example, and you see the beggar in the drama level also, what to do?
There are, we had one friend here, if you are talking about many countries, and in this country, one friend, he used to work with the homeless, and he used to arrange place for them, house flats for them, and they would not take the flat, they would not take the house, they wanted to be on the street, and some of them would stay there until 10 o'clock, get a taxi at 10 o'clock and go back home. He observes all this. So seeing all this, use discrimination. In some countries there is a situation, use discrimination. But here the emphasis we are talking about is beggar within ourselves. We are not begging for coins or begging for everything else. Begging for respect, begging for position, begging for things to be there. Even that is begging. Things to continue the way it was yesterday, even that is begging. Begging in a story. So here, we have to observe, at least observe that begging. And then you are prepared for the unexpected. What is mentioned there now? Invisible prince. In the story, he is prepared for the unexpected, undisturbed by anything.
Very powerful reference point of the mind, and it's game of moment of no time, isn't it? So the vision and attitude of our brother souls, whatever the actions you're seeing them as prints, that will be definitely going into the system, will be recognized by the prints. Maybe I know we're just over time, but perhaps a quick final query in the chat. I discovered that physical pain is drawing so much attention that it is difficult to concentrate even on this simple concept of observing the invisible prints. Any thoughts?
In spite of all situations, we have to create time, maybe 5 seconds and 10 seconds. We have to create time, because that is what will break the old pattern. and more difficult the circumstances, they will become greater the opportunities. It is not that those who are in a sort of a well comfortable environment, they find it easy. No, they have other reasons of getting distracted. But more difficult situation is it can make you bodiless more easily. Many people say they have deep experience of bodiless state when they are sitting in a dentist chair.
Absolutely. Straight into the soul world, and also on a plane in turbulence, it's like very, yeah. So thank you. We maybe finish with a drill, and anything final to add?
Yeah, it is the great privilege. Thank you for being together and such a central subject for all of us. And to make it easy, that is our job. How to make the whole job easy. Next step is putting into practice, making it easy in practice.
Absolutely, and every contribution and the presence of everyone is also helping in that. So thank you all, especially also translation department. We'll finish with a few minutes in Madhaban. Thank you.
तो सोचो हर बात सामने लाओ, चाहे आत्मा, चाहे परमात्मा, चाहे चक्कर, सभी को अनुभव मूर्त कहाँ तक बने हैं, अच्छा अभी किसी भी परिस्थिति में स्वस्थिति पर स्थित रह सकते हो। Ciao.